Young Metro don't trust you, I'm gonna
The nitro box. Whoa! What's up, guys? It's Blivvy. This time I'm gonna be alone in this one because I wanted to do a video about a certain anime that is pretty popular at this point, but I just got done not too recently, I'd say a couple months ago, finishing this entire uh anime. It's Fairy Tail. Now, don't get all excited, okay? This is not gonna be one of my happy days with this video. This is just something I've been trying to do for a while. I've been trying to pretty much revamp, rewrite, fix the final arc of Fairy Tail. Now I'm gonna be clear, not the anime. I'm rewriting the final arc in the manga. Now the anime hasn't gotten to this point, and they're pretty worried, or not worried, but they're kind of debating on, are we going to make the final arc a movie? We're going to make the final arc actual, like an anime, like a final season. Honestly, I'd rather them make it a movie because the material they're working with is complete garbage. Like, it's trash. This is one of the reasons why I'm trying to rewrite it. This arc, and I can vouch for it, I've read all of it. There's plenty of people and other YouTubers who can agree with me. This arc is trash. And you want to know the one person, if you still don't believe me, who practically, not completely admitted, but this is a factor of why it was trash. The creator of Fairy Tail, Hiro Mashima, he came out not too long ago, a couple months back. He was at some convention, I think. I'm pretty sure he was at a convention. He was at some panel, and they asked him about how he wrote the final arc, and he practically admitted that he winged it. He just winged the entire final arc. And all I gotta say is that did not sit well with me. I kind of knew it if I felt it, because I'm reading it. I'm like, he just feels like he's writing himself out of a hole every chapter. He's like, he makes up one thing and then he just BS writes the characters out of the situation, or just practically Madara's every villain in the in the uh in the arc. And by when I say Madara, I mean like when you prep up a villain that's so powerful that you have to find some BS way to take them down, get rid of them, and just practically kill them off. They do that a lot. There's a lot of problems with this final arc. That's only one problem though, and that problem alone usually pisses off a lot of anime and manga fans. So this is pretty much just going to be a part one video. I'm not going to like go through the entire rewrite and fix. I'm just going to list off some things I'm going to fix, and then in part two I'm actually this is going to be more drawn out, more specific about every part of the pretty much every problem that is within the arc. And this isn't just problems I've had with it. This is actual problems that just should not be here. Some not some, but one is just a problem that's been looming over Fairy Tail. It's not like a huge problem. That's why I'll save it for last, or somewhere in the midway while I'm listing all these off, because I have these all listed here in order. But let's go through pretty much the biggest scene. This is the biggest scene. This isn't really the biggest problem. It's just the biggest scene. The biggest problem, I'll get there. Don't even worry about it. But the biggest problem would probably be a character scene in the final arc. Her name is Yukino. Now, in this arc, it was kind of revealed that Natsu has I'm using quotes here, brother. His name is Larcade, Dragneel. Now, when you first see this guy, he seems like the exact opposite of Zeref. In Zeref, he's the main villain. Zeref's power is darkness. He's the black wizard, or black mage. Like, he is practically the main villain of the entire just Fairy Tail in general. Him and another villain that I'll name in part two, because how the other villain went out definitely needs to be fixed completely. But yeah, look, Larcade, I don't really know how to pronounce it. It's Larcade, but I'm gonna just say Larcade. His powers, when you see him, he seems like the opposite of his father, Zareth. He seems like, Zareth is darkness, so he looks like light. I mean, for hell's sake, he has a giant cross, a giant Christian cross on his back, just sitting there. It's not a tattoo. It's literally just a giant golden cross on his back, like sitting there like a sword almost. And uh, yeah, his powers are getting a whole revamp, and this scene is what caused it. It's called, or I just call it, Yukino's tentacle rape scene. Now, yeah, this is already getting kind of too. It already sounds too far, but the whole point of the scene is basically they use this as an opportunity, this entire part of the arc, to show off his powers. Now, this is kind of a little further down in the arc. To, about time they meet up with the entire group, Zareth and all of his people, the Spriggan 12, which is just 12 of the strongest and elite wizards in the fairy tale world. I'm gonna say right now, you can definitely cross out the word elite. There's nothing elite about these people. Most of them get one-shotted, two-shotted by the fairy tale crew in like almost an instant. So you don't even have to worry about them. But this scene was unnecessary, too far, and made this character, Larcade, completely underwhelming, and just he didn't need to be here. I was thinking about completely just writing him out if I were to when I rewrite this, but I feel like it'd be better to keep him just because of how he was introduced, and just the idea of him just felt interesting to see someone like him. When you see him, you think, wow, we're really going to see an all out um superior prodigy level light based magic character. That's what some people had in mind. It's like everyone's curious, like, what's his power like? Because they kind of kept it like a little secret until he actually started fighting. Like, what's his power? So, what's his magic? I mean, excuse me. So I thought it would be light based. So that's what I'm going to do in the rewrite. I'm going to completely light base it because his actual magic, which I felt was just ridiculous, he has the power to give pleasure. Nah, I'm serious. Not even joking. This is beyond levels of move different. This is move the fuck out of my face. um, he literally gives pleasure. That's his power. Like there's a scene. I don't know if how can I explain it without it sounding, because it's just silly. It's so ridiculous. Like basically, some of the fairy tale guild were running at him, and he just put his hand out as basically saying all those who've known pleasure will be affected by this magic, something on the lines of that. And basically a bunch of people start killing over and just like on the ground. I'm like, what is he doing? Like, is this some kind of weird gravity magic? Like, why is everyone on the ground? There's only a certain amount of people on the ground, and that's when he reveals that his magic is pleasure magic. And then it's just like everyone who's felt pleasure will feel this. So that means basically everyone who's not a virgin, literally, this isn't me making jokes. Like literally, anyone who's had sex before was to feel this magic, and it basically just it boosts the amounts of pleasure surging through your body. And everyone's just on the ground killing over, and then the only people standing are people who in the series who haven't had sex yet. So basically the younger cast, all the adults are on the ground, and the younger cast, I'll say young at best. Basically everyone's like 16 to 18. And one of the characters, which was pretty obvious, was Yukino. She's still standing, and her magic is very similar to Lucy's magic. She's a celestial magic, so she can summon beings from the celestial world to fight with her. And she was about to do it, but then Larcade notices like, okay, she's not keeling over. He's like, well, since you've never felt pleasure before, I'm gonna make you feel it. I'm like, okay, that sounds a little rapey, and that's what it got into. Just pure, just you can already hear the disappointment in my voice. So he summons these tentacles from a vortex, and they pretty much just attack her. And the scene just looks straight out of a hentai, just straight out of a hentai. And at that point, I was reading it off my phone, so I kind of just threw my phone on the ground and walked out the room, and just went, got me a soda, went outside, got some air, thought about it, went back, skipped a couple pages, and just got out of that scene. So yeah, that scene was unnecessary. It was stupid, and it just made Larcade's character so underwhelming and stupid, especially when a character. I'll go more into this character in part two, but basically, it was another character that's pretty much a friend of the Fairy Tale Guild. I think it's in the Saber Tooth Guild. I think that's the name of the guild. That's why I had to make a part two, because this arc made me want to really just forget most of this series. And just to see this character not only have a disappointing magic, but also get pretty much mollywopped by a disappointing character as well. It was just all disappointment at that point. It was already just some disappointment in some of the series, because this arc prepped up a lot of these villains, and then it's just disappointment. That was just the most disappointing thing about the Spriggan 12. They were all prepped up as elite mages, and they were just disappointing in every way. So moving on from that, we're gonna go into. This is probably a bigger point. I'm gonna come back to this other point I had listed. All the death fake out scenes, especially the one of this character who goes by the name of Juvia. Now, Juvia and this other character, Gray, one thing Fairy Tail does is they prep up a lot of the ships, all the relationships within this series, and just seeing who gets with who is what prepped up a lot of people to just keep watching this anime and read the manga through to the end. And one thing they did in this final arc is they had a lot of death fake out scenes where you thought people were going to die and they just don't. Like, they really prepped up, especially Juvia's, because Juvia's scene, there was like a complete farewell. She sacrificed herself to save the one she loved. When she died, you saw her face in the constellations of the stars. I love you, Gray. Keep fighting for me type bullshit. And I'm just like, oh, she's really dead. And then out of nowhere, she gets healing magic bullshit from a character known as Wendy, just out of nowhere, and just wakes her back up. And I'm just like, what was the point of all that? There was no point of any of that. They do that all the time throughout this entire arc with most of the cast of Fairy Tail. And you think they're dead, and then next chapter, oh, they're still alive, or not. Sometimes not even at the next chapter. It's like literally at the end of the chapter, they're still alive. It was like all this stuff. It was like all of this like emotional roller coaster. For some people, for me, I'm just kind of laughing at this whole situation when I'm reading. I'm just like, yeah, they're not gonna die. Oh yeah, they're not dead. Oh, they look like they're about to die. Oh yeah, they're not dead. Over and over and over again. And I'm gonna go more in depth with every single death fake out scene in part two of my rewrite. Just don't even have enough time in the day for that. But I'm gonna go back to a point I skipped, which was this character that's very similar to another character I was mentioning in the death fake out scene. These two characters were fighting one of the Spriggan 12. Now, the two characters go by Wendy and Shelly. Wendy is a part of Fairy Tale Guild. She is a dragon slayer, just like the main character of the series, Natsu. Shelly, on the other hand, is in another guild. I think it was called. I'm not gonna guess it. Like I said, it's been a while since I read this series, but she is in another guild of mages, and her magic is very similar to Wendy's. So since Wendy, she is a dragon slayer, her magic is based off of a wind dragon, so she has wind magic. So since she has wind magic, she's basically practically a master support magic. So she can use her magic to not only attack, but she can also boost everyone. She can boost people's speed. She can boost people's power. She can boost people's agility, all types of stuff. Or at least, as far as I know, strength in their magic and speed, if possible. And on top of that, she's a healer. So uh, not only does she buff everyone, she also heals everyone. So Shelly's magic is pretty much the same, but her is god slaying magic. So instead of being a dragon slayer, she's a god slayer. The god slayer magic was probably some of the most confusing magic throughout Fairy Tail in general, because once it was introduced, it was prepped up as a god slaying magic, but when you think of just the power of the gods in here, and then you think of the dragons, it's almost as if they try to put them at the same level, which never really made much sense to me without throughout Fairy Tail. But she has god slaying wind magic. This fight, there's two parts to this fight that I'm trying to change. The first part is the person that they're fighting. Her name is Demaria. She has time-based magic. I'm gonna let you know right now. I feel like after this, I should get a job at probably a MOBA like Smite or League or Overwatch, because I'm nerfing the shit out of this bitch. I am nerfing her. I'm nerfing the hell out of her powers. Her powers make no sense of how powerful she is, but she's still able to lose to these characters. It's just unbelievable. She's practically the goddess of time itself, and we're not doing it. There was a whole scene when she was fighting these two young mage girls, Wendy and Shelly, and you see these two innocent little lolly girls fighting a fucking goddess of time, and it just made no sense whatsoever. So yeah, her powers are getting completely nerfed out of the water. No goddess of time. No, gone. She can keep her time-based magic. She can still freeze time. She can still do certain things with time. But as far as the goddess of time, just get out of here. It was interesting to see. I'm sorry for the people who've drawn it. The fan art's still there. It's not like I'm actually rewriting the fucking series itself, but no, in my rewrite, that will not happen. It won't make sense to the story. It barely makes sense to it's cool to see. That's the thing about Fairy Tail. Some of this stuff is cool to see. It'd be interesting to see it animated. But as far as the story goes, man, this doesn't make sense. On top of that, the fact that I'm nerfing her, I'm going to pretty much boost Shelly and Wendy's magic to be at least far superior to what they are in this arc. Because through this arc, there was another mini time skip. Basically, it was like a 2-year time skip because back in, I want to say somewhere around the not midway point, but somewhere I'd say 2 seasons before the final season that was animated in Fairy Tail, there was a big 7-year time skip. I'm not really going to go into explanation of the 7-year time skip. Just know that there's a 7-year time skip, and the characters themselves had to get boosted in magical power for a big battle arena arc in Fairy Tail. So there was a 2-year time skip in this arc, like right before this arc, in between the last arc that was animated. I think it was called the Actologia arc, and then this arc. During the 2-year time skip, Shelly and Wendy, they did not their magic was not as impressive as I thought it would have been at this point. If we're at the end of the series, I really felt these two should have been more superior in order to fight the person they were fighting. I mean, their magic is impressive on its own right, but up against a goddess of time level character, it's not gonna work. So that's why I'm taking away the Goddess of Time from Demaria, because she's already broken on her own right. She can practically just freeze time and just kill you. Everything's frozen, walks up to you, kills you. That's it. That's how she's won all her fights. So, yeah. I'm nerfing Demaria. Shelly and Wendy are going to be far superior to what they were. And I won't go into that any further in the second part of the video. In part 2, I won't have to. That's as far as it needs to go. I might touch back on it in the second part, but that's as far as it pretty much goes. Those two will fight Demaria. The fight will still go pretty similar, just without the Goddess of Time. Shelly and Wendy will defeat her, and this will allow me to fix the second problem with this fight, which is Shelly losing her magic. Shelly loses her magic because another character was reintroduced in this fight. Made no sense. It was an older character that pretty much passed on a while ago, and they just wanted an excuse to bring her back in this one part because Demaria froze time and she put them in a weird time, this weird dimensional space and time. And somehow between that, an early character whose powers were very close and involved time magic was able to walk in between time and is like, oh, hey, I'm back. Hey, I can help you with this fight. No. Her name is Ultir. Ultir, sorry, you're hot, but you gotta go. You're dead. Doesn't work here. You just don't work here in this part. Just not at all. So the whole point of her was she was gonna give one of these two a boost in magic, because she's the reason the Fairy Tail Guild, who was locked away after the 7-year time skip, when they got their boost in magic, because everyone got a boost in magic, she's the one who gave them their boost in magic in general. So they brought her back as an excuse to give either one of these two a boost in magic to defeat Demaria. Only problem is, whoever takes the boost in magic will once the boost is ran out, you will never be able to use magic again. This was the dumbest ultimatum in this arc. It was unnecessary. It didn't need to be here, because at the end of the series, when all this is said and done, the person who takes the magic, which is Shelly, she pushes Wendy out the way and says, you're a dragon slayer, you can't lose your magic, we need dragon slayers in order to defeat Agnologia. So, Shelly, sorry. Well, not sorry, actually. You're keeping your magic. Because at the end of the series, Shelly, after losing her magic, at the end, there's a scene where it's like, hey, I'm starting to learn magic again. So that means that entire portion was unnecessary. There was no point of her even. There was no stakes. That's the thing with Fairy Tail. They prep up these. I'm gonna do air quotes again. Stakes, and then nah, it's like they weren't even really stakes to begin with. There was no point of any of that. So I'm boosting their magic, and then I'm nerfing and taking away the Goddess of Time transformation that Demaria did. So that way, all that's solved. It'll just be a regular fight. They go at it. Of course, them with their boost in magic and working together with their wind magic, they'll be able to take down Demaria, and that'll be it. Now Demaria won't die here, because she doesn't die here. She comes back in a later point of the series, and I'll go into that part in part 2 as well. What else we got here? There is so much to fix in this. I'm sorry, y'all. There is so much to fix in this. I didn't even scratch the surface of this list. Holy shit. Oh, man. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna start talking as if most of the people watching at least know these Fairy Tail characters, because so far I've been talking as if none of you guys know who I'm talking about. Just in case some people who've never seen Fairy Tail somehow stumble upon this video, I was just trying to be fair for them. But there's so much to this, I can't keep reintroducing characters. So I'm gonna just talk from starting now as if you know who these people are. So there's a point, or not a point, there's a relationship. There's a relationship in Fairy Tale that made no sense, was completely forced, and needs to be gone. And that is Gajil and Levy's relationship. Now, some of you who've seen Fairy Tale, some of y'all might like this relationship. This relationship makes no sense. And it's forced and it's rushed, especially through this arc. It's way too forced. I'm just gonna completely I'm breaking them up completely. Okay? The series at its time wasn't even done yet. She's already pregnant. Like, that's okay. But I'm just telling you how rushed this is. They've barely they've known each other for a while. I'd say a good, yeah, they've known each other for 2 years, but their relationship was just completely forced. I think there was a YouTuber who speaked on this relationship before. It goes by the best guy ever, and he was saying like what I'm pretty much about to say. Gajio pretty much crucifies her on a tree halfway through the series before he gets anywhere close. Like, he's just a complete asshole, and then all of a sudden he's a friend of the guild. Now he's a part of the guild. Now he's in the Fairy Tale Guild. But previously he was in a whole nother guild, and he was just a complete asshole to just anyone he was near. So he does it to Levy and crucifies her and some other people to a tree. It's what it looks like. It looks like a crucifixion. I'm not lying to you. I might even ask Splash when he gets this to edit in a picture of what it looks like. I might, but it's not bad. It's you, when you see it, you can't not see a crucifixion when you see this picture. But yeah, their relationship is completely too forced. It's like Sakura and Sasuke levels of force. Like, from a realistic standpoint, these two should not be together at all. So yeah, for the rewrite, what I'm gonna do is when there's a 2 year time, like I said, it was a 2 year time skip. What I'm gonna just do is basically Gajil and Levy are just gonna be broken up. Their relationship doesn't go any further. Levy realizes that Gajil's just not for him, or maybe he cheated on her if they were really close before the time skip, because they got definitely very, 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 very close after the time skip. Almost practically husband and wife. Pretty much, if he asked her to marry her, he'd probably say yes on the spot. So I'm completely breaking that up. For any of you Gajil Levy fans out there, I'm not sorry. I'm really not. Um, this one was an interest. This next point is actually interesting. This was a very interesting character for me, but it was, like I said, wasted potential. Um, this character, this character is pretty much has to do with Erza. It's Erza's mother. We pretty much got the hint that it was her mother just by putting them next to each other, how they look, her reaction towards her, and then when they finally fought together, was probably the most bullshit fight you've ever seen, you would have ever read in your life. There's plenty of people who've talked about this fight, uh, but I'm not gonna go into the entire fight because it's just unnecessary and it's not going to exist in my version of this rewrite. So basically what I'm gonna do is Erza's mother in this arc, she's basically just a complete, like, just evil, just person. She's just completely evil. She reveals she never cared about Erza. Erza was just dead weight to her. As soon as she realized she was dead weight, she casted her aside and never wanted her, basically. But at the end of the fight, she kills herself because she realized she does love her daughter and she can't go through with killing and striking down her daughter. You see what I mean? That doesn't make sense. You can't prep out somebody to completely hate and loathe and disregard their child and practically tell them that they're trash to their face, and then out of nowhere, throughout that entire bullshit fight, at the end, she kills herself because she loves her. Trash. Trash. So here's my version of just Erza's mother character and just this entire thing overall. This is the longest part of my script. Actually, I didn't really write a script. I just made a list, but this is the longest part of this list I've made. So Erza's mother will love her child. She lost her daughter because she couldn't raise her because of her dragon curse. Now this happened. She has a dragon's curse. Erza's mother is a dragon. The whole dragon's curse thing is basically anybody who uses dragon slaying magic is cursed to become a dragon. And it's actually speculated that most of the dragons that train the dragon slayers in fairy tale were dragon slayers themselves, or at least just dragons. Some of the dragons within the fairy tale lore in general were used to be human, but she had the dragon's curse. She was a dragon slayer. And I'm going to pretty much change it. Instead of uh, her dragon curse was kind of different. I'll take back what I said because it's been a while since I read fairy tale. Let me think. Yeah, hers was different. I'm pretty sure she got her curse. Okay, yeah. No. She was pregnant with Erza at the time she had the curse. Once she had Erza, she couldn't stand her and her dragon-like personality because she used to be a really good person, but once she started turning to a dragon and she changed over into a dragon, she met up with Zareth, and Zareth gave her the opportunity to look like a human. His magic worked. She looked like a human, but she couldn't taste. Like every time she ate food, drank anything, she couldn't taste anything. And that made her depressed and bitter. Yeah, don't ask me how that makes sense. Um, I felt like Hero at that time was just trying to make any excuse to turn her into a complete bitch, but it just fell flat. Just completely fell flat. So I'm gonna pretty much rewrite it to where she's not a complete bitch. She lost her daughter because she couldn't raise her with the dragon curse. So she basically drops her off. This actually happens. Drops her off at the village that Erza grows up in. Now the and found out that the village was destroyed because that village was raided back when Erza was a child, and that's what brought Erza to the situation with her and another character by the name of Jalal. Um, in memoriam, in memoriam. My fault, guys. In memory of her daughter, she would help Zeref reset the world in the perfect form where she can raise her daughter, or is another way I was going to do it, in hopes that the world she loathes will never be a reality. Because that's the whole thing that Zeref wants to do. He wants to reset the world because he's mad at the circumstances that he was brought with, and he wants to put the world on a complete reset so everything that happened won't happen and he can have a happy life at the expense of everyone else's lives. Uh, so once we get to the point where she actually sees Erza and she's finally alone with Erza, she's not with her disciples and she's not with her army. She's by herself. Basically, the part where they actually meet up in the manga. Once she sees Erza, she will cry tears of joy once she is reunited with her daughter. At this point, I'm still going to keep in a fight with these two, but the way I'm going to do it is there is a character in Spriggan 12, because I'm going to go through a whole list of the Spriggan 12 as to why they're trash in part 2, and it is a character whose name I can't recall. He pretty much has the power to reanimate uh dead, just the dead. So basically, some of the Spriggan 12 died in this arc, and he's just gonna pretty much reanimate them as an excuse so Fairy Tail can have another fight, because like I said, these some of the Spriggan 12 are just complete trash and were just mollywopped immediately. So they do this as an excuse to reanimate them when they easily could have just made these people just a little bit more powerful than they let on, so that way there could be a final fight between all the Spriggan 12 instead of them just being killed off and then brought back for a final fight. They just could be more powerful than let on, and Fairy Tail can just be in a mindset of, okay, let's actually realize we're outmatched and fucking retreat. So I'm gonna redo his power to reanimate and make it more of a brainwashing magic. Uh, I know I can do this because it's been shown before that there is brainwashing magic in Fairy Tail. They actually pulled a Gios in the Fairy Tail Dragon Cry movie. So the fact that that exists, I can actually allow some type of brainwashing magic within Fairy Tail. That will be that character's power. He will be involved with Erza's mother. He will find them. He will see Erza's mother trying to turn to their side in hopes to reunite with her daughter. He will brainwash Erza to fight Erza and Lucy. Let me say that again. Erza and Lucy. There is a point in the manga where usually, okay, in the original, Erza's mother is fighting Erza, and she's fighting Wendy. No, 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 no. Hell no. Erza and Lucy. We're sticking with that because I need to drop Wendy somewhere else right now. I do not need that brokenness in this fight because that was broken in the manga when Erza fights her mother, and let me stop myself because that shit's not gonna exist in my version, so I'm not gonna explain it. They will fight Erza's mother, Erza and Lucy. They will free her. She will join up and help Fairy Tail in the hopes of defeating Zeref and stopping Agnologia. That's how I felt it should have happened. Erza's mother should have joined their side, because the amount of how broken Zeref and Agnologia are, Fairy Tail is gonna need as much help as they can possibly get. Now, as far as Erza's mother's disciples, that's why I'm going to move Wendy somewhere else, and I'm gonna have her fight them off because her little disciples do fight. I think they fight Mary Jane, and I'm going to make them fight Wendy. I'm gonna have them split and diverge off because there was a point where, and like I said, I'm gonna go in more detail in the second video. Mary Jane had a fucking near death experience. Jeez, there's so many of these. I didn't even remember that. I'm just now remembering that while recording this. But yeah, I'm dropping her off and making her fight Erza's mother's little, like, basically her, yeah, I'm gonna call them disciples and have her fight them. And like I said, Demario was defeated by Wendy and Shelly in my version, but it's still staying true to the original. She's defeated, not killed. So she will be still in a situation where she will go against Wendy again, but she will go against Wendy and someone else. I just still haven't decided who that someone else will be. They will fight Demaria and they will kill Demaria. Okay, cool. I've gotten to the coolest parts that I felt would have been the best parts of this manga, but this part actually is what dug into me and made me feel like this part was just even fair. So END, most people who keep up with Fairy Tail, we know who this is. Well, not who this is. Well, yeah, we know who this is and what it is and what it can do. END. It's END Natsu. It's Natsu. It's supposed to be Natsu's most powerful form. Ether Nano Natsu Dragoneel. END. I'm gonna let you know right now. For those of you who haven't read it and you're still here, and for those of you who have read it, you already feel my pain. END pretty much didn't happen. We saw a piece of it, but it didn't fully take control. We didn't see the full power of END. We just saw like a little taste, and then it was completely wiped out, erased. Natsu pretty much said he accepts his humanity, and END was just poof, gone. It just made no sense, so I'm going to rewrite that. Natsu will awaken END. He will find a way to control its power. What he's going to do is basically something similar to Kurama, or what's going on now in Tokyo Ghoul Re, with the main character fighting himself in his mind. I'm going to do something like that with Natsu. Natsu's going to see the dark side of himself as END. He's going to accept it and control it. Actually, that's probably more like Naruto, but either way, he's gonna accept it. He's gonna control it. I don't care if it's biting Naruto, because the majority of this fucking series bites One Piece anyways, so it doesn't matter. And to top off and just, well, pause to end this video. This is the final part. This is the final point I'm gonna make. I'm going to fix Zeref and Agnologia. I'm gonna go in more depth with Agnologia in part 2. Zeref, I'm gonna let you know right now. I can't wait to write this in, but basically I'm gonna fix Zeref's final fight with Natsu. END Natsu will square off with Time Space Zeref. Yeah. When this happens, when Time Space Zeref and END Natsu fight, that's gonna be I felt like that would have been the best part about this series. That would have saved this series. That would have gave this series an actual like good fight. And it could have possibly, I'm not gonna say Naruto versus Madara levels, but it would have been comparable as a final fight as, wow, that was really good for Fairy Tail. I'm not saying good and like top tier fights, but like it would have been really good for Fairy Tail to see END Natsu and Time Space Zeref. Because when for most of us, when we saw Time Space Zeref in the manga, we are just like this looks cool as shit. They could have really went somewhere with this. They didn't. He didn't go anywhere with it. Of course he didn't. But they could have really went somewhere with this power up that he had, because that was the whole point. He was trying to collect Fairy Heart, and the fairy and Fairy Heart is like one of the top magics, like magical, like not necessarily a spell, but like Fairy Heart. No, I'll take that back. It's more like a spell, because like the first leader of Fairy Tail, dang, her name escapes me. I apologize, guys. The first leader of Fairy Tail, she had two magics. And one of them was the Fairy Heart. And Fairy Heart, like I said, that's why I have to make a part 2. There's so much to this, and I have to do a little bit more research. But I'm just letting you guys in on all the things I'm going to rewrite, and I'm going to add some more things to the list for next time, and I'm going to have way more research done. But this will be interesting. I haven't really rewritten it like a script or rewritten like an actual story, but I will in due time. I'm hoping I can have part 2 out done by Saturday. But until then, it's It's been fun. It's gonna be really interesting, and I can't wait to see you guys on part 2. All right. Peace out, guys.
So basically, what I was thinking of was, oh.